Let's get started. I'm not sure if I did introduce the concept of analyzing the factors that influence job satisfaction. Yeah, I think I did. So we talked about the concept of job satisfaction being very complicated, which means that individuals, firstly, just satisfaction has a lot to do with where a person is at in their hierarchy of needs. I think that's one thing that helps me remember how to classify job satisfaction or understand the factors that will influence job satisfaction. So where a person is in the hierarchy of needs, where the person is in terms of their career progression and so on, has got a lot to do with what determines whether they are satisfied or they are not. Also, we'll talk about, I think it's here, is it here where we'll talk about job design? I think it is. Yes, it is, because the amount of work that you give to an individual is also determines whether they're going to be satisfied or not. If you are a highly qualified engineer and then somebody gives you a job that is where you are making coffee or tea, or if you're a highly qualified procurement professional, and instead of you getting involved in clustering categories of spend and doing market analysis and developing procurement strategies, you are given clerical jobs like filing of tenders and organizing of meetings, which are also important, but if you will not find satisfaction in that, all right? Even if you've just completed your degree and you need money and your hierarchy of need is quite low. So all those have got a lot of impact on how satisfaction for job will be, an individual's satisfaction for the job will be affected. All right, so let's go through the slides. So they say there are many sides to the factors that lead to an individual being satisfied, like I've mentioned, and we'll talk about a bit more of this. This means that it is unclear whether it is accomplishment that leads to satisfaction or job satisfaction that drives an individual to perform. So we talked about this last week. It is important to note that job satisfaction and enjoyment are different things. Okay, you can enjoy your job, but you may not be satisfied. These two guys found that job satisfaction is moderately associated with the enjoyment an individual feels when carrying out work tasks. But enjoyment itself had a low correlation to how satisfied an individual felt at the job. Okay, so whether somebody enjoyed the job or that was not necessarily, did not necessarily mean that they were satisfied. So job satisfaction, firstly, is the pleasurable emotion state that result from the appraisal of one's job as achieving or facilitating the achievement of one's job values. So that is what makes it distinct. On the other hand, job enjoyment, for example, there are people who just enjoy being buyers, but you can enjoy being a buyer, but you may not be satisfied in the role that you are in because of the factors that we'll talk about. So let's carry on. Looking at the dimensions of job satisfaction, all right, there are a number of categories to consider that are involved in improving levels of job satisfaction. That include, firstly, individual factors. We talked about people's individual personal traits and so on. Then we need to look at the social factors, cultural factors. Cultural factors are those personal attributes and what people believe. They all have something to do with job satisfaction. And then organizational factors, and then environmental factors. Environmental factors are those macro-environmental and task environmental factors. Remember the difference, Camille? You remember the difference? You asked me this question between macro environment and the task environment. Okay, yes. The task environment is unique in the environment where you are. It relates to the direct clients, the direct tasks that you are dealing with. The macro, it's similar things, but they are external. They are more outward looking. The dominance of any of these factors will determine how much or how little they affect job satisfaction. Now, attempts to understand the dimension of job satisfaction have led to a variety of contemporary human resource management practices, and these are aimed at improving work conditions, contributing to organizational improvement, and these are what we are now going to dive into. All right. So I wrote here notes to students. Please familiarize yourselves with commentators on job satisfaction on page 125. We've got quite a number of them, and the reason why I didn't want to put them here in the slides is because these different commentators seem to have different ways of approaching job satisfaction. If you look at Judge et al. In 1997, and then there was another study by Avi, and then there was Kirk, and then there was Mumford, and then yeah. So please look at these. I jumped over all those so that I can address what Hartman and Oldham had to say about the job characteristics model, which identified 5 intrinsic motivating job characteristics to explain job satisfaction in the work environment. Okay, so let's go to those and look at what they are. These were described as the following. Firstly, the skill variety, the range of tasks performed, and the ability of the individual to use a range of skills and talents to accomplish a task. So if you provided someone, and you would see in your own case that there are not many of us who like monotony. This one is talking about individuals applying various skills in their job, given an opportunity to expose their various skills that they have learned in the workplace. According to Hartman and Oldham, they say that these motivating job characteristics which will help enhance job satisfaction. And then task identity, where an individual's ability to complete the whole job from start to finish and be able to see the outcome of their work. They'll identify where they can pinpoint and say, that is my job, I did that work, you understand. Now you notice that some of these may be diverting from what we'll learn in the next chapter, in chapter number 3, because chapter number 3 will be talking about teams and groups, but there are people who are very team oriented, and those who are very task significant oriented. When you go for interviews and they ask you what you have done, you do not go and tell them what the team did. You need to go and be able, out of the team contribution, what was your unique contribution that came out of the things that you did? That is what makes people get satisfied about what they're doing. Task significance, your ability to, task identity, your ability to identify a task in a project and say that this is what my contribution was to that project. The project might have a lot of other players, but you need to have that level of identity. And according to these two guys, Hartman and Oldham, they say that they help in job satisfaction. Then task significance, the impact of the individual's job on others, both internally and externally. The more you have this, the more you will get satisfied with what you do. And you'll notice that the answer that we asked about motivational factors that are non-monetary related, where they say that money is used for performance, enhance people's performance, but you cannot explain why people leave good paying jobs and go and volunteer somewhere else to do a job that doesn't pay them well. You'll find those answers coming in through this concept of job satisfaction. A lot of people now seek to be more satisfied at what they do, and and a lot of them would like what they do to impact people internally in their company and externally, and they call it task significance. So the more your task that you're doing has an impact on others, it brings a sense of satisfaction to you. And I'm sure you can all attest to that. Anyway, so, and then autonomy, where you're given the freedom as an individual to plan and do your own thing. When there is a level of autonomy that is given to you, you have independent decision making that you can, it gives you some level of satisfaction. Feedback, when you are given direct feedback, and guys, remember this for your own management style as well. So when you need to try and help people get satisfied with their job, give them feedback, direct feedback on how people are performing. It provides the individual with clarity on their job performance. All right. So those are some of the dimensions. So then some of the job characteristic models are here, where you have core job dimensions, critical psychological states, and personal and work outcomes. So you can read through those in your own time. They say that using this model, managers can assess an individual's job profile for motivational potential and make changes based on the core job dimensions in order to improve individual job satisfaction. All right. So that I put it there, but go dive into it in your own time. Let's look at alienation of work. All right, so work alienation has its roots in what we call Marx, this character called Marx. We've just got visitors. We'll allow them to come through. Please come through. I'm going to tell the students that we've got a very important person from the Department of Education here. All right, so you want to come and say hello to my students? They're all muted, yes, so you can just hello guys, do you want to say hello to our inspector here? This is our, do you want to unmute and just say hello?
Good to see that you are being
Hello.
infected. Hi. I can't even see them.
Their names are here. This is Turkey's
yeah.
work. He's OX for Translate.
Okay.
Camille is in the job market. Molefe is working for, I think, Anglo or something. Anglo Ashanti, right, Molefe? Molefe?
Yeah, right. Yes, Anglo.
Anglo, that's right. Mita, which company do you work for?
Translate.
Oh, Translate as well. Mita is also
okay.
a Translate, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, now I'm gone.
Okay. This is the advanced diploma class, and we are dealing with managing teams and individuals. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. So they're remaining with the advanced diploma. They'll do the professional diploma, then they get their professional certification. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And which is equivalent to an honors degree.
Really?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
So they will just go straight to masters.
These ones are sorted. They'll be doctors.
Oh, that's lovely. Stay well, be safe. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
I spent the whole day with you.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay,
All right,
sure.
ma'am. Bye-bye. Thank you.
And you have a lovely day.
Thank you. All right, guys. Sorry about that. That's the reason why I logged in late, because we were busy trying to provide a whole lot of evidence to the Department of Higher Education and Training to ensure that our accreditation continues on. Okay, let's carry on. Where were we? Alienation is the separation of work from the product that was created, the process by which it was created, or from others who are involved in the production. Now, this alienation is not something good you want to have in an environment, okay? Individuals can get alienated from their work. They can get alienated. The reason why they hoy this particular subject into your syllabus is for you, firstly, to understand that individuals can get detached from their work role, okay? And number two, to help you as managers should be able to help them get back, and you prevent work alienation. because all that has to do, and work alienation usually comes because people are unsatisfied with what they're doing. Okay, let's carry on. So this means that the individual is detached from their work role. The reasons including personal characteristics, social, technical, organizational factors, management style, and so on. One perspective is the absence of job satisfaction. So one of the major reasons why people get alienated, they become strangers to their own work, it's because they do not get job satisfaction. And you find this, some of these guys are brilliant people, but when they go to work, you know, alienation manifests itself in different ways. Brilliant guys, probably with PhDs, they just start getting to the bottle, start drinking themselves to a pulp, and they can't pay attention to their own job. If a manager is not being kind to those people, they can fire them for alienation, for poor work performance. But the bottom line is that things did not happen the way the person thought they would. And even their own personal characteristics. So you need to be able to help them. So these guys, Watson argues that an individual may be alienated from work while still being satisfied with the job. All right, so let's see some of these issues. 5 alienation multi-dimensional construction made up of social, psychological areas. And these were done by Mr. Seaman. He talked about the concept of powerlessness. This is the realization that the individual, they lack power over the outcomes of their work. So when an individual starts sensing that they are powerless, when they start sensing that what they're doing is meaningless, and what makes people think that they are doing meaningless work is because they are not being affirmed. Or, and believe you me guys, let me just go back to the previous one. What causes here personal characteristics of how do these personal characteristics built up is because from their childhood they have been told that what they are doing is useless and the roles that they perform is useless. They grow into the organization and their manager does not affirm what they do, does not tell them that this is a job well done. People start to have a sense of meaninglessness in their work. Normlessness, this is a breakdown in social norms relating to an individual's conduct in the workplace and results in the individual feeling mistrustful towards the organization. And then social isolation, and then self-estrangement. This relates to the individual expressing a general dislike for work or distancing themselves from the idea, all right? So these two guys, research by Shans, identify that alienation from work results in individual experiencing emotional exhaustion. And what exits on their emotion are these things that we have talked about previously. Emotional exhaustions and lower levels of well-being. So managers must do the following to improve an individual's connection. So this is ultimately what we need to focus on. You're identifying signs of your staff members being alienated from work. What do? Introduction of voice mechanism. What are these voice mechanisms? They basically say, let everybody have their say. Let people talk when you are having conversations that have to do with the business environment. The other one is person job fit. Ensure that the demands of the job are matched so that an individual is able to fully use their knowledge, skills, and ability in their work tasks. And meaningfulness of work, ensure that the job designs enables the individual to find meaning in their work. So guys, you do have a lot of work as managers. Let's look at job design and enrichment and enlargement. You do have a lot of work as managers to prevent people from being alienated. So remember those about four things that cause job alienation and what a manager can do to prevent alienation. And if they identify that it is there, what do you need to do to get people bounce back to support the organization. All right, let's look at job designs. And job design has a lot to do with how people get satisfied with their job and enlargement. Firstly, job design concentrated on time and motion studies to determine the best way a job can be completed based on task specialization. The goal is to redesign jobs by improving productivity and streamlining work processes. However, there is a subsection of human resource management that approaches job design from the perspective of reducing alienation and job satisfaction, and that is what we are going to focus on. So if you look at manufacturing environments, probably in your mining sector as well, you might have these time studies that industrial engineers do to try and do proper job designs that will reduce the amount of time it takes to complete a task. On the other hand, the job design has got an impact on the alienation and job satisfaction that employees feel, and this is what we'll talk about. It does this by focusing on reducing work boredom and repackaging an individual's job to make it more meaningful for the individual. All right, so this allows you, one of these days I'm going to share with you a document I used to use for my one-on-one discussions with my direct reports. I'll share with you, then you can use it. You've got a job profile that an individual has, but in the specific goal setting that you do in the one-on-one with the individual, you are able, if you've got two buyers that are working for you, you are able to, and those two buyers have got the same job profiles, you are able to personify, or to, what is the word, where you make it unique to the individual through those monthly interactions and goal setting discussions that you have with your staff. And that is what helps with this process of job design. So if I remember, I'm going to send you that one-on-one template. It was very helpful. There are two approaches to this. Firstly, job enlargement. This is increasing the duties and tasks of a job to make it more challenging and rewarding to the individual. And like I said, you could have two buyers with the same job profile, but this particular one, you can enlarge their capabilities depending on their appetite to do more things. Then job enrichment, increase an individual's autonomy and responsibility and provide opportunity to involve them in decision making. So job enlargement and job enrichment are two methods of job design that you can utilize in order to have reduce boredom and repackage jobs for your staff so that they can increase job satisfaction. All right. Let's go to considerations for job analysis. Let me just go back here quickly and see if I haven't missed anything out. No, the rest is self-explanatory. So when delivering a job design, job analysis must be done as follows to provide managers with a range of internal and external dimensions to consider. Firstly, you need to understand what the purpose of the job is. This is the process of job analysis. The HR people are very good at that, but as a manager, you need to be able to know what you are doing. People capabilities, you need to take into account your existing capabilities within the team, or for the person whose job design you are trying to redesign. The speed, that is the timeliness with which job tasks are completed. The health and safety, this is the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of employees. Productivity, sustainability, sustainability. In here they talk about jobs should be designed for today and for the future. This is only one leg of sustainability. Job design must ensure that the job that you design is not just for today but for the future, but it is also profitable. Okay, people who are occupying certain positions must be contributing directly to the company's or indirectly to the company's bottom line. Obviously, quality of life, you need to take into account the flexibility that individuals need. You can't keep them forever in the office and expect them to perform at their best. Okay, some of the management approaches to job design was done by Mr. Foster, where he suggests that rather than attempting to fit the talent available to the organization into the preconceived strategy, rather you must plan your strategy around the talent that you've got available. So these are some of the comments, although practically it is almost difficult for you to do something like this, because can you imagine if you've got a team of engineers who think in a particular way, they've got this particular talent, and you're a large organization. You can't change your whole strategy like you guys who are in the Transnet world and in the mining sector. You cannot just change, just to accommodate the talent that you have. So it works for small companies, but not for large companies. That's my personal view. Then using the expanded boundary-less talent management model. So Foster urges or argues that the organization should divide employees into categories of shared talent profiles and customize job roles based on that talent that is available to the organization outside of the normal perceptions of the organizational boundaries. When this theory was done it came in not too long ago, there were a number of companies that they tried to follow that like that, and they found that they were losing their identity, and they quickly went back to their core activities. This is the expanded boundary-less talent management model that is in the book that you can have a look at. It has on the x-axis the context, and on the y-axis the perceived value. And the wider, what it says is that there is still talent. A company needs to look not only in the talent they know, but they must go beyond to look at talent that they do not know that is out there. All right. And yeah, if you do it successfully in their defense, you might be able to move your company in the direction of what the talent that is available. Because this picture here is looking at the global availability of talent, okay? It is saying that we need, when we structure our strategy, let's look at the talent that is globally available. But look, I don't know how many companies, like I said, especially state-owned companies, would want to change and become computer-based type of companies just because we've got a lot of talent outside that exists within the computer system. Like I said, it's easier for the smaller companies, but I personally think that the larger companies will battle to follow this model. The boundary-less talent model management, where you look at whatever you've got out in the field and structure your strategies accordingly. Okay, let's look at flexible working arrangements that also help within the job satisfaction environment. Flexible working arrangements go beyond the idea of flexible working hours in order to meet the needs of parents or carers. So what they basically say is that employees need to be given an option to work part-time, term time, job sharing, and I've not seen it happen in South Africa, but I hear in Europe it's a common thing where you've got two people doing the same job, and this one comes from 8 to 12 o'clock, they go away, they are paid a salary, half salary, and the other half of a salary is paid to another individual who comes in at 1 o'clock and they finish off at 4. And that is what is called job sharing, okay? Yeah, flexi times, compressed hours, and annual hours. This is similar to flexi time, but contracted work hours are fixed over the year. So there are guys who have these annual hours. They can finish their annual hours the first half of the year, and go visiting, touring the world the remaining part of the year. Working from home on a regular basis with COVID-19, I think this is going to be a norm. Mobile working and teleworking, then career breaks. I've seen this happen in South Africa as well, where people take a sabbatical, then they go away for some time. Then commissioned outcomes, and then 0 hours contract. 0 hours contract is funny because what it says is that you are hired and you're going to work 0 hours. However, you will only be called upon when you are needed. All right? You are contracted to be available for work when they require you, and they'll pay you only for the hours you work. This is a 0 hour contract. It is yeah, for people who are, I don't know, who don't need money in their lives, because it's not very certain. The last slide also talking about reasons for flexible work arrangements. Firstly, in some countries, there is a statutory requirement to have flexible working hours. Secondly, it is argued that there are direct and indirect business benefits. So other than regulatory requirement, the other reason for flexi working arrangements is because there are benefits that we get for that. All right, so that is it for this chapter, chapter 2. We don't have much time, so I'm going to hit it with chapter 3. I will make sure that you get the slides for chapter 2, but let's start with chapter 3 on the teams immediately. I'm going to stop sharing, and what is this? Let me go back again, share, browse, and chapter 3. All right. Have we lost Mita? Oh, there we go. She's there. Okay, guys, can you see chapter 3, managing work groups or teams?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's hit it running. All right, so now we give shifting focus on looking at work groups or teams, and it will lead us to the different stages of group development, which was in your assignment. I've not marked your assignments because the questions that the previous lecturer asked you were all mostly in the latter part of the work that we have not done. I'm going to mark them now after that, after we have talked, we've talked through them. But let's get started. Just a quick reminder, we talked about in the previous, I think it was in chapter 1 somewhere, where we talked about the distinction between a group and a team, okay? And we said here that a group is a number of people gathered together to form a recognized unit or band. But a team suggests that the people or the group work together in a coordinated fashion. Now, from this, you will notice we said that all teams are groups, but not all groups are teams, okay? Now we will look at other different approaches to team and group definitions in this topic, because this is the detail that provides you, this is the chapter that provides you with the detail on group and team management. All right, so let's start with the introduction. So every business or organization divides itself into groups to coordinate its operations. Effective teamwork will have a positive impact on overall organizational performance. All right, now in today's world, like I said to you in the previous chapter, that it's important for you to understand how to operate in a team, because teams are critical. Everyone is organized. Every department is organized as a team, or even as a group. It may not be a team, it may be a group. It is important for you to learn how to work in a group and in a team. However, your individual contribution, and I must emphasize, needs to stand out. You cannot always depend on the team, members of the team, to produce the output that you are expecting. All right. Equally, dysfunctional team dynamics will have a negative effect. By understanding and managing approaches to managing work groups and teams, you as a manager can more effectively manage the many factors that contribute to effective group work. Now, your role is to harness the potential and power of diverse individuals and managing group behaviors to achieve organizational aims. To do this, as a manager needs to understand the nature of groups and how to influence the behavior of people in groups and teams. All right. So let's hit it with chapter 1, examining the impact of work groups or teams on effect. Examining the impact of work groups or teams on effective and efficient performance. This, I didn't finish writing this, sorry about that. The first chapter is talking about groups, teams, and teamwork. So this is like a revision. So group, team, they are critical to the organization. We've talked about that. Some of the theories you need to remember is Adripolas and Dawson, where they said a group is 2 or more individuals interacting and interdependent who work together to achieve particular objectives. And then Hollen and Beck and Spitzmuller define teams as all groups of interdependent individuals who share responsibility for specific outcomes. Guys, I'm looking forward to some of these theorists who are going to have African names. So please do go all the way and get your PhDs and be theorists that we can come and teach our grandchildren about. I would say Mr. Moleve Musina's theory of 2025. Madam Mita Mhlongo, the Mhlongo theory is this. I'm looking forward to that. I'm tired of these complicated names that are difficult to pronounce. Anyway, so they explain the definition of terms. And I think the important point I wanted to raise is that it is these joint and specific outcomes which accompany common goals and a shared purpose that separate a team from a group. These are important to remember. I've highlighted them for you. What distinguishes a team from a group? Number 1, joint and specific outcomes. Number 2, common performance goals. If you've got a pen, you should jot this down for you to remember, and a shared purpose. Okay? So very important to remember as we go ahead. On the other hand, the group does not have these, all right? The importance of teams and teamwork. So organizations exist obviously because people come together in order to achieve something that could not be achieved by individuals. Now, Hilton highlights that no individual knows how to do everything. Individuals need to work with others who have different talents to supplement each other's tasks. This idea of needing to work with others counters the premise of the scientific management view of tasks, where tasks were broken down into individual parts. If you remember in section 1.3, we talked about the scientific approach, which was very task-oriented. And it highlighted the contribution of the individual rather than the contribution of the team. Now, teamwork requires individuals to take a more holistic view of work tasks because of the nature and complexity of the modern business environment. Mr. Hockman and Pisano researched the impact of surgeons on mortality rates in a hospital. They concluded that familiarity and influence, both in terms of the organizational environment and their relationships with colleagues, led to better performance outcomes. Now, what is this talking about? This research demonstrates that even the most talented individuals performed better when working in familiar teams. What do you learn? What do you pick from this? As a manager, you need to introduce your staff members to their, if you get a new employee, introduce that staff member to the whole team and be sure that it's something that you should take it upon yourself. You're managing a small team, you've got a new person that joins you, be sure to introduce them physically to the new employees. Because when they get familiar with the team and they start working in a relationship type of environment, it will increase their overall team output. That is what this concept is talking about. And I'm sure David wants to tell me that I've run out of my time. Is that so, David? We are going to pick it up from group norms, and it's not a very long topic, chapter 3.1, and we'll finish it, and I hope that we can do 3.2 as well tomorrow. So guys, yeah, so see you tomorrow, and have a lovely evening forward. David, I'll leave it up to you now for you to sort out. Camille, do you have something to say? I see you're unmuting.
Oh no, I was getting ready to say bye.
All right, Camille, thank you. Thanks for coming through.
Okay, bye, Charlie.
All right, cheers, Molefe. Cheers, Gizwa. Cheers, Mita.